Hey everyone, I'm Ryan, and I've spent most of my life in the US. I'm excited to share with you my top 25 favorite spots across the country. The US is full of amazing places, from the beautiful Hawaiian Islands to the striking rock formations of the Southwest. Every part of the country has something special that's worth checking out. Let's kick things off with one of my all-time favorite places, Lake Tahoe. Located on the border of Nevada and California, Lake Tahoe is the second deepest lake in the US with a depth of over 1,600 feet. The water here is incredibly clear and has this beautiful blue color. What makes it even more unique are the smooth granite rocks that stick out of the water. One of the best spots to visit is Sand Harbor Beach. It's perfect for swimming and paddleboarding, with crystal clear water and plenty of those iconic rocks. My wife and I were there last May. Even though the water was freezing, we still had an amazing time. If you're planning to visit, I'd recommend going in July or August when the water's a bit warmer. Next up, let's take a trip to Yosemite National Park. It's about a 4-hour drive from Lake Tahoe and is hands down one of the most breathtaking national parks in the US. Yosemite is known for its towering granite cliffs, clear streams, and impressive waterfalls. One of the park's most iconic features is Half Dome. This massive granite formation rises over 5,000 feet from the valley floor. One side is a sheer cliff, while the other has a smooth, rounded shape. Another highlight is Yosemite Falls, which is one of the tallest waterfalls in the world, with its upper section reaching a height of 1,430 feet. A unique sight is Horsedale Falls, which creates a firefall illusion in mid-February when the setting sun hits it just right. Yosemite is filled with incredible views, and it's a place I hope you all get to experience. Now, let's head to the coast to check out Big Sur. Situated along the Pacific Coast Highway, Big Sur is another gem you won't want to miss. Big Sur is known for being one of the most scenic drives in America, with its winding roads, seaside cliffs, and misty coastline views. One of the standout spots here is Bixby Creek Bridge. It's one of the most photographed bridges in California, and once you see it, you'll understand why. Another cool spot in Big Sur is McWay Falls. This stunning 80-foot waterfall drops directly onto the beach below. If you keep driving south on the 101, you'll come across the Elephant Seal Vista Point. This beach is home to thousands of elephant seals, some of the largest and most unusual animals you'll ever see. Depending on when you visit, you might catch them sleeping on the beach or even fighting each other. It's a wild sight. Next, we'll head to the California Redwoods. These towering trees are the tallest in the world, with some reaching up to 379 feet. You can find redwood groves along the Northern California coast, and one of my favorite places to visit is Jedediah Smith Redwood State Park. Walking through the grove was an unforgettable experience. The trees are so massive they block out most of the sunlight, and the ground is covered in lush ferns, giving it a prehistoric vibe. It almost felt like stepping into a Jurassic Park movie. After exploring California, we're heading north to Oregon, which has quickly become one of my favorite states. It's home to huge volcanoes and countless waterfalls. My wife and I did a road trip through Oregon a month ago, and it was amazing. The state has some of the best coastline in the US, and I highly recommend driving along the 101 Coastal Highway. One of my favorite stops was Muir Beach, where we found these huge rocks and had the whole beach to ourselves. Another must-see is the Samuel H. Boardman Scenic Corridor, which is one of the most beautiful parts of the Oregon coast. Continuing north on the 101, you'll reach Cannon Beach. When you think of Oregon, Cannon Beach probably comes to mind. I first saw this place in the movie The Goonies, and have wanted to visit ever since. It's famous for Haystack Rock, a massive 235-foot sea stack that rises from the ocean. In 2013, National Geographic named it one of the world's 100 most beautiful places, and I totally get why. It's a great spot to relax on the beach or take a cold dip in the water. Next, we're heading up to Seattle in Washington. Seattle has to be one of my favorite cities. I love how the city is right on Puget Sound, with towering skyscrapers and the stunning Mount Rainier as the backdrop. There's just something magical about the combination of the water, city, and mountain. If you're ever in Seattle, one spot you can't miss is Pike Place Market. It's been around for over 100 years and is full of fresh produce, unique shops, and the original Starbucks. The market has such a great vibe with its colorful stalls and all the amazing smells. One quirky feature of Pike Place is the famous gum wall. While it might be a little gross, it's definitely colorful. Next, let's head up to Alaska. When you think of pristine wilderness, Alaska is the place that comes to mind. It's full of towering mountains, glaciers, and vast landscapes that feel untouched by time. It's also one of the few places in the US where you can see the stunning aurora borealis. Many people get around Alaska by helicopter or bush plane because some of the areas are so remote. If you're looking to truly escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life, Alaska is the perfect destination. After Alaska, we're off to Hawaii, specifically the island of Oahu. Out of all the Hawaiian islands, Oahu is my favorite. I lived there for over 8 months on the North Shore, and it was some of the best times of my life. Whether you love hiking, surfing, or just exploring, Oahu has something for everyone. Waikiki is one of the most popular spots on the island. It offers the perfect blend of city life and beach vibes, with high-rise hotels lining the shore, making it an ideal place to surf or just relax by the ocean. Another famous spot on Oahu is the North Shore. It stretches for 17 miles and is home to some of the world's best surfing. One of the most famous beaches here is the Bonsai Pipeline, where surfers come from all over to ride the massive waves. The North Shore is famous for its incredible surf, especially at places like the Bonsai Pipeline, where the waves are created by a sharp, dangerous reef that makes the waves break just perfectly. During the winter months, the waves can reach over 20 feet, and some of the biggest surfing competitions take place here. When the waves aren't too wild, I love swimming on the North Shore. The water is crystal clear, and the waves are just fun to swim in. While we're still in Hawaii, let's head over to the island of Kauai. Kauai is the oldest of the Hawaiian Islands, and it's by far the most beautiful and diverse. It's known as the Garden Island, and once you see it, you'll understand why. One of my favorite spots on Kauai is the Na Pali coast. It's hard to find a place on Earth that compares to its beauty. The coastline is filled with sea cliffs that rise 3,000 feet above the ocean, with narrow valleys cutting through them, leading down to the sea. There are a few ways to experience the Na Pali coast. One of the best ways is by helicopter. You can take a 50-minute tour, which costs between $200 to $300, and you'll get some of the best views of the cliffs and valleys. If you'd rather be on the water, there are boat tours that last 3 to 6 hours, costing around $150 per person. But if you're on a budget like me, there are also great hikes and lookout spots. One of my favorite spots is the Kalalau Lookout, which offers incredible views. Another must-see spot on Kauai is Waimea Canyon, also known as the Grand Canyon of the Pacific. It's over 10 miles long and 3,000 feet deep. The contrast of the red rocks against the tropical greenery is just breathtaking. After exploring the Hawaiian Islands, we're heading back to the mainland to visit the iconic New York City. With its towering skyscrapers, diverse culture, and vibrant energy, it's a place you just have to experience. I was lucky enough to live in New York for a few months, and I quickly grew to love the fast-paced city life. One of my favorite places in the city is the Brooklyn Bridge. It's one of the most photogenic spots in all of New York, offering stunning views of the city's skyline and the East River. The Brooklyn Bridge is an iconic structure that connects the boroughs of Brooklyn and Manhattan. Completed in 1883, it has become one of New York's most famous attractions. I love walking across it and taking in the views of Manhattan and the water below. The bridge is stunning during the day, but it's even more beautiful at night when the city lights are shining. Another must-see in New York City is Times Square, one of the world's most visited tourist spots, attracting over 50 million people every year. It's packed with bright lights, huge advertisements, and endless energy. There's so much to see and do: street performers, random attractions, and plenty of things to explore. If you need a break from the city hustle, Central Park is the perfect escape. Opened in 1876, the park features lovely bridges, paths for walking or biking, and peaceful green spaces, offering a beautiful contrast to the busy city life. After experiencing New York, we're heading to the New England region, which covers 6 states in the Northeast: Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Maine. This area is rich in history, being the home of the Pilgrims in 1620 and the birthplace of the Revolutionary War. The largest city in New England is Boston, Massachusetts, one of the oldest cities in the U.S. founded in 1630. It's famous for events like the Boston Tea Party and today is a lively city, home to prestigious universities like Harvard and MIT. If you're looking for a mix of nature and history, Vermont is a great option, especially in the fall. The trees turn incredible shades of red, orange, and yellow. It's also home to charming historical towns like Brattleboro. Another New England favorite of mine is Maine, which sits at the northeasternmost point of the U.S. bordering Canada. Maine is known for its beautiful coastline, lighthouses, and lobster shacks. One of my favorite cities is Portland, a lovely coastal town first settled in 1623. The Old Port District and harbor are full of character, and the Portland Headlight, built in 1791, is the oldest lighthouse in Maine. One of the most beautiful spots in Maine is Acadia National Park, located mostly on Mount Desert Island. The park is full of stunning granite peaks, rocky coastlines, and lush trees, making it one of the most impressive national parks on the East Coast. After exploring Maine, we're heading to the opposite side of the country to check out the Florida Keys. The Florida Keys are a beautiful coral archipelago just off the southern tip of Florida, often considered the American version of the Bahamas. What's really cool about the Keys is that all the islands are connected by a road, making it one of the most scenic drives in the U.S. I visited in December and drove all the way to the end of the Keys. As you drive over the bridges, you're treated to stunning views of the blue Caribbean Sea. One of the most impressive bridges is the 7-Mile Bridge, which, when it was built, was one of the longest in the world. It seems to stretch on forever. The final stop on the Keys is Key West, the southernmost point in the continental U.S. We spent the sunset swimming at Fort Zachary Taylor State Park Beach, which was the perfect way to end the day. Next, we're heading to Wyoming to visit Yellowstone National Park. I went there recently, and it was a truly magical experience. One of the park's most famous spots is the Grand Prismatic Spring, the third largest hot spring in the world. It's 160 feet deep and displays vibrant rainbow colors from above. You can walk along the spring on the platforms, but for the best view, take a short hike up to the Grand Prismatic Spring overlook. Another iconic spot in Yellowstone is Old Faithful, one of the world's most famous geysers. It erupts about every 90 minutes, and the boiling water shoots up to 185 feet in the air. You can also drive to the Upper Falls, which is one of the most powerful waterfalls I've ever seen. Another less crowded but just as stunning spot in Yellowstone is Mammoth Springs. I went there early in the morning, and it was a magical experience with mist rising from the hot spring terraces. While we're still in Wyoming, we're also going to visit Grand Teton National Park. It's one of my favorite national parks because of the breathtaking scenery and the unique, jagged shape of the Grand Teton Mountains. There are plenty of great hikes here, and one of my favorites is the hike to Delta Lake. It's a bit challenging, but when you reach the top, you're rewarded with an incredible view. One of the most incredible spots in the Grand Teton National Park is Delta Lake, a glacier-fed lake with stunning blue water that looks just like Gatorade. The lake is framed by the towering Grand Teton Peak, making it one of the most breathtaking locations I've ever visited. When I was there, I couldn't resist jumping into the water. It was freezing, but there's nothing like the rush of a polar plunge in glacier water. If you're looking for a more relaxing experience in the Tetons, you can take a ferry across Jenny Lake and enjoy a short hike up to a beautiful waterfall. After Wyoming, we're heading to Idaho to explore the St. Anthony Sand Dunes. This place is truly bizarre, over 10,000 acres of sand dunes sitting right next to farmland, creating a surreal scene. The dunes can reach up to 400 feet high, and if you love dune buggies or dirt bikes, this is the spot for you. My grandparents live nearby, so I've visited many times, and every time, it feels like I've stepped into a desert paradise. It's such an epic place to visit if you're ever in Idaho. Next, we're heading to Utah to check out the Bonneville Salt Flats, about 2 hours west of Salt Lake City. This place is one of the wildest locations in the world, a vast expanse of mud covered by a layer of salt. There's no vegetation, just pure white salt stretching out to the surrounding mountains. The Salt Flats have been featured in movies like Pirates of the Caribbean and music videos. I love visiting here and having fun on the flats, whether it's setting up a photo shoot or even jumping over my car. The flat, white landscape makes it feel like you're on another planet. The Bonneville Salt Flats is not only an amazing place to visit, but it's also where the fastest land speed records have been set. If you decide to drive out there, just be cautious because the salt can trap your car if it isn't completely dry. When it rains, the salt flats turn into the world's largest natural mirror, creating a truly surreal scene you have to see for yourself. Next, we're heading to New Mexico to visit Shiprock, one of the most unique rock formations I've ever seen. Thanks to my friend David for the amazing footage of this place. Shiprock is a volcanic spire, with 3 volcanic spines that stretch out from the rock, coming together in an almost surreal pattern. The Navajo people consider Shiprock sacred and call it the rock with wings. It's such a strange and captivating place, definitely worth seeing. While we're still in the Southwest, let's head over to Lake Powell. This is one of the most incredible man-made lakes, sitting on the border of Utah and Arizona. Known as America's Lost National Park, it feels like you're in the Grand Canyon, but with water. The lake was created in the 1960s and has become a favorite spot for family trips. Many people rent houseboats to spend the summer boating, wakeboarding, and enjoying cliff jumping. Lake Powell is an absolute gem and a must-visit for anyone into water sports. Close to Lake Powell is Horseshoe Bend, a stunning section of the Colorado River surrounded by towering cliffs. Just a short 20-minute drive from Horseshoe Bend is Antelope Canyon, one of the world's most famous slot canyons. From the outside, it looks like any ordinary desert, but once you enter, you're surrounded by beautifully sculpted sandstone that has been shaped over thousands of years by flash floods and erosion. Finally, we're heading back to Utah to explore Zion National Park. Zion is beyond stunning, its towering red rock cliffs seem to go on forever, and no photo or video can fully capture its beauty. One of my favorite hikes in Zion is the Angel's Landing Trail, which takes you up steep rock paths to one of the best views you can find anywhere. If you love outdoor adventures and jaw-dropping landscapes, Zion is a must-see.